Okay, I'm going to get you all depressed here. I'm going to make you feel really, really bad. Like you want to slit your wrists and say, why did I want to do this hydrogen stuff anyways? Then I promise to make you feel really good. You ready? Let's get you depressed first. We talked about the hokey, BS, worthless, good-for-nothing electrolysis under the hood from the alternator in a previous section of this DVD. Now let's address some of the science and the mathematics and the physics of electrolysis from your home, plugging it into the wall, and from solar photovoltaic power. Now let's say, remember we told you, what did we tell you? We told you 1 gallon of gas equals about 120,000 BTUs of energy. Now to compare, again, apples to apples, we're talking about fuel going into a normally aspirated, homogeneously charged engine. When you run hydrogen, high boosting or pure hydrogen into a non-homogeneous, stratified, unthrottled engine, you get higher efficiencies. Roy addresses that in the other sections of the video very well. But we're just going to do apples to apples here, because the difference is significant but not huge. So 1 gallon of gas has 120,000 BTUs of energy. So we need to make 1 gallon of gas equivalent. You hear us say 1 GGE, 1 gallon of gasoline equivalent. Basically what we're talking about is making 120,000 BTUs of hydrogen. 120,000 BTUs of hydrogen. Now, to give you a little funny story, I always said when you hear someone say hydrogen with the same inflections as a very charismatic religious person would say Jesus Christ, to run. When they start saying Jesus is the answer, and they same thing, they say hydrogen is the answer, and Jesus is the way, and hydrogen is the way, run, 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 which is nothing against wonderfully religious people. It's just the attitude of people. But that's not to be a ding. It's just a little thing that I've noticed when someone calls me, I say, I want to speak about hydrogen. Sorry, the dog needs to be fed. I don't have a dog. So, okay, we want to make 120,000 BTUs of hydrogen. We're going to do this through electrolysis. Now, in the vehicle, we talked about the horrible little PVC or iron pipe cylinder at 10% efficiency on a good day. Well, I'll tell you what, we are now in our home, we got some good money, we mortgaged it in there, and we got ourselves a really nice 60% efficient electrolyzer off the shelf from Stewart Energy, who are great people, and they're in Canada. Don't hold that against them. So we got ourselves a nice 60% efficient electrolyzer. So basically, what does 60% efficient means? It means 60% of our electrical energy is going to go into H2, and the other 40% is going to go into heat. Okay, so it's lost. It's bye-bye unless you capture it. So I need 120,000 BTUs, 60% efficiency. What that means is it is going to cost me, this is where I'm putting this number here, it's going to cost me 180,000, I keep on forgetting to put that extra zero there, BTUs of electrical energy. Now, I can hear all of you screaming at me, Steve, you told us and we memorized. We tattooed it on the foreheads of our children and on the underbelly of our dog that there are 3,412 BTUs in 1 kilowatt hour. Right? Right. So we know that. So what does that mean mathematically? And again, I emphasize, take your mathematics in high school and college and learn to love them, because they will answer all those questions for you. You'll never find yourself saying, I didn't know. 180,000 divided by 3412. I need 52.75. Let's just say I need 52.8 kilowatt hours of electricity going through a 60% electrolyzer to make 120,000 BTUs of hydrogen, which is equal to 1 gallon of gasoline in a normally aspirated, homogeneous charge, internal combustion, low compression engine. So, now that I know that you got it, 52.8 kilowatt hours. 52.8 kilowatt hours. That is what really comes off your meter. This is 52.8 kilowatt hours electric. So I'm going to use a round number here. It's a little bit high for most of the country, and it's really low for California. But it'll make you convert easy. We're going to say that you are going to pay 10 cents per kilowatt hour. What does that mean? It means if I take my 52.8 kilowatt hours and I multiply it by 0.1 for 10 cents, that just cost me $5.28. Okay? It cost me $5.28 to deliver 180,000 BTUs of electric energy into a 60% efficient electrolyzer to make 120,000 BTUs of hydrogen, which is equal to 1 gallon of gas equivalent of gasoline in a normally aspirated, homogeneous charge, internal combustion, low compression engine. So yes, you are right. That is exactly like buying gasoline at $5.28 a gallon. I told you I was going to get you depressed. Remember, I told you I was going to make you feel a lot better too. So $5.28, which means if you're in the social state of California and you're paying 20 cents a kilowatt hour, twice this rate, times it by 2, you're paying $10.56 a gallon of gas equivalent for your hydrogen in your vehicle. If you're in a better area of the country, 5.28, and you're paying 5 cents a kilowatt hour, 5.28 divided by 2, you're paying $2.64 a gallon of gas equivalent. Now, if you were really good in the old days, and you were in the Northwest, and you were making hydrogen only at night using off-peak hydro energy at half a penny a kilowatt hour, 5.28 at 10 cents a kilowatt hour, we're talking about a half penny, which is 20 times less than 10, divided by 20, that would be like buying hydrogen at 26 cents a gallon of gas equivalent. If it was a penny, it'd be like you were buying hydrogen at 52 cents a kilowatt hour. So if you found a penny a kilowatt energy, you'd be paying 52 cents you'd be paying 52 cents a gallon of gas equivalent, which was pretty darn good in the old days. Now, a little side thing here, there are things called nuclear power plants. Those are the reactors. Those are the cooling towers. Anyways, they were trying to make energy too cheap to meter. Government started financing it, dumping a bunch of money into it. Environmentalists stopped it, blah, 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 blah. But if they, this would have been on scale to make energy at 1 cent a kilowatt hour. So if we had world-class nuclear power implemented today, like we have world-class nuclear submarines, France powers over a third, 75% of their country off nuclear, Japan's like a third. We implemented it in world class. Can you see how we'd really have been on a hydrogen economy today because we've been making it so cheap from nuclear power? But anyways, that's a little side discussion. But you want to know the good thing? This is going to happen again, and it's going to happen from solar. On an inflationary basis, we'll get to a penny a kilowatt hour for electricity. Again, inflationary adjusted in the future, and it will not be from solar PV. It will be from solar energy, but it will not be from solar PV. So someday in the future, but as we've shown you among other things in this video, not today. So anyways, here we go, 528, right? At 10 cents a kilowatt hour. But it gets worse. If you go off, this is hydrogen gas that's not compressed. It's just, atmospheric pressure. you have to compress it up to 3,000 psi. Now, if you went and got yourself a wonderful Bauer dive compressor, which will compress gas up to 3,500 psi, and you look at the numbers and do the measurements, you would find out that if you have 120,000 BTUs of H2, you would need about 12% of this energy in electricity, not thermal, in electric energy, to compress it up to 3,000 psi. So what does that basically mean? We spent $5.28 getting this 120,000 BTUs. We need 12% of that in electric energy, which means we needed 12% of the energy that it took to get to there. So 5.28 times 0.12, we need another 63 cents in energy, plus 5.28, we need $5.91. It's like driving around in $5.91 a gallon of gasoline using hydrogen electrolysis from your wall at home, costing 10 cents a kilowatt hour. And to tell you the truth, let's see, at your house, let's see, you need to have 180,000 BTUs. Let's see, 180,000 BTUs. And let's see, this is 52.8 kilowatt hours. Now we're going to do that over 24 hours. Just doing some quick numbers here for you. So 2.2 kilowatt hours. Okay, it's going to take 2.2 kilowatt hours to do that over 24 hours to make that amount of energy needed to make the 1 gallon of gas equivalent. This is 1 gallon equivalent. Your house is generally drawing about 1 kilowatt hour all the time. So this is 2.2 times the amount of electricity your house is drawing on an average basis to make 1 gallon of fuel equivalent. Not 5 or 6 or everything else. Let's see, residential power, 220 volts times a big house, 100 amp service. That's 22,000 watts. That's 22 kilowatt hours of ability. And you need 2.2, yeah, so your house can produce it. Now, you're screaming at me, Steve, I'm not going to pay 10 cents a kilowatt hour and make this. I'm going to put up some solar photovoltaic panels and get my energy for free. And I'm going to make my hydrogen to run my car. So let's address some of the economics of solar photovoltaics. Now let's say you weren't going to do much in life and you were going to drive. You're going to drive 50 miles a day. Okay? That would be equivalent to, well, we got our handy dandy calculator, 50 times 365. That's 18,250 miles per year. Okay? And average 50 miles a day. And you have a little itty bitty car that gets 50 miles per gallon. Let me tell you about a car that gets 50 miles per gallon. You don't want to get hit. You don't want to get hit by me in my 6,500 pound Dodge diesel, Cummins turbo diesel pickup truck. Well, you said, well, if maybe we should all drive smaller cars and be better. Trees haven't changed their size. Neither have culverts and ditches and anything else and bridge abutments. You know, F equals MA. You want as much M as you can around you to reduce those forces and those accelerations on your body. You do not want to get hit in a car that's getting 50 miles a gallon. I want you to be alive so you can do all sorts of great things in this world, have children, teach them, learn science, and help everyone else. So again, I'm an automobile industry person. So let's say you have you drive 50 miles per day in a 50 miles per gallon vehicle. So, well, what does that mean? It means we need 1 gallon gas equivalent per day. Yes, I hear you screaming at me already. That means, Steve, you're telling me we need 120,000 BTUs of H2 compressed per day. Right. So, per day. Now, let's be really generous and say we're going to have 8 mean solar hours per day. What does 8 mean solar hours means? You know, the heat of the day, noon to 3, you have a lot more solar radiation coming down on your itty-bitty solar panels than you do when the sun is coming up over here in the east and versus setting in the west. So even though the sun might be up for 12 hours, if you and this intensity is higher than this intensity, you combine it all together, and then you might have, you know, depending where you live, 6 hours of sunshine in the winter, and you might have 18 hours of sunshine in the summertime. Let's say you got 8 mean solar hours of energy coming down onto you. Now you need 120,000 BTUs, which we already addressed in the previous pages because we're going to be using the same 60% efficient electrolyzer. It means that we must have 52.8 kilowatt hours, which is 52,800 watt hours. So let's go back and figure this out. $58,500 watt hours, which is our 55.8 kilowatts. 55.8, did I say 55.8? Sorry, 52.8. 52.8 kilowatt hours equals 52,800 watt hours per day, and we said we had 8 mean solar hours per day. So 52,800 divided by 8 equals 6,600. That means I need 6,600 watts output from my panels per day. It doesn't include clouds. 6,600 watts. So what does that mean? Well, today, in year 2005, solar panels on the wholesale market are about $4.25 per watt. So 6,600 times 4.25, that means you need about, yeah, you got it, $28,050 in solar panels to make the 6,600 watts on 365 sunny days, 8 means solar sunshine days per day, to make your 52.8 kilowatt hours per day, to make your 120,000 BTUs of hydrogen per day, gallons of gasoline equivalent in your 60% efficient electrolyzer. Eek, you say, right? Well, remember, it gets a little bit worse because we got to run a little compressor here. So we might as well take that 28,050 times by 0.12. That's another $3,366 we need, plus 28,050. Oops. 28,050. Okay, calculator. Fingers aren't working. As I said, I get nervous when I'm on camera. Times 0.12 plus 28,050. We are going to need $31,416 in solar panels. You like that, don't you? You know what? That does not include the $3,500 minimum price for the compressor. Does not include the $10,000 you'll be spending for the electrolyzer. Doesn't include your cost for the tanks and cost for the conversion. That's just your price in solar panels right here at today's market wholesale prices in the year 2005. So how do we, remember we're doing this for 1 gallon of gasoline a day. If it was 2 gallons of gasoline a day, you'd be $63,000. So let's say we're going to do this for 20 years. So $31,416 divided by 365 days in a year that you got sun, which you don't, divide by 20. 31416 divided by 365 divided by 20. That is like driving around on hydrogen. That's going to cost $4.30 a gallon of gas equivalent. Just like buying, you want to know how much space it's going to take? Let's see, a 55 kilowatt panel. Let's see, 55 watt panel, silicon is 4 feet by 1 foot, so it's 4 feet square. What did we say we need? We needed 6,600. We need 6,600. So 6,600 divided by 55, that means we need 120 4 square foot panels, so times 4. So that panel area is going to be a panel area like it's 22 feet by 22 feet. So solar panel area, 22 feet by 22 feet with your average 11% efficient silicon panels that you would buy today, not amorphous silicon, not the flat silicon stuff that they make that you roll up. But the good stuff, like from Siemens or BP Solar, 22 feet by 22 feet of panels, costing you $4, costing you about $32,000, costing you the average of like buying hydrogen of $4.30 a gallon of gas equivalent to give you 1 gallon of gas equivalent per day. So if you need 5 gallons a day, multiply that by 5, multiply that by 5, and multiply this by 5. So it would be about 100 feet by 22 feet of panels to give you 5 gallons of gas equivalent per day. And aren't you depressed? I got you so sad. Well, if you're listening to anyone else telling you these numbers, and believe me, no one else tells you these numbers, they make you think that you're going to make a fortune by buying solar panels and making hydrogen off your wall current, and you're not. But we're not. We're talking to you about the best science and chemistry in the world from Mr. Roy McAllister, who's my mentor, who taught me. I've worked with for about the past 12, 13 years. You'd get awfully depressed. Now, in this DVD series, we're talking to you about not just hydrogen fueling an engine, but we're talking about natural gas and multi-fuel. And remember, we're talking about adding 5% to 7% hydrogen to something else to get this wonderful high boosted fuel. So let's say 5%. And like, oh, you're all now depressed and everything, and let's make you feel good. Okay. We're going to divide this, since 5% is 1/20th of 1, we're going to divide this by 20. So 4.30 divided by 20. Okay, you're going to take 1/20th of this, 5%, which would be like adding 21.5 cents to every gallon of something that you're burning. So if you're burning natural gas, and right now the delivered price at the GGE at the pump, natural gas pump in Phoenix, Arizona, from the local energy utility is about the equivalent of paying 75 cents a gallon of gas equivalent. To add hydrogen to that, to make it really clean and even more efficient, and to make your engine run many times longer because you're not coating the walls and burning out the walls and carbonizing the oil. Oh yeah, Roy's got a vehicle that has over 200,000 miles on it, has had hydrogen in its entire life, and they've never ever changed the oil. They've always just added a little bit as it's been slightly consumed. Never changed the oil, it's honey clear. So your engine will run much further than anything else. So we're talking about, let's round up to 22. We're talking about adding 22 cents worth of hydrogen off of your other sources here that you just made. So you're looking at driving around at 97 cents a gallon of gas equivalent. If you go and get terpenes and you make some terpenes, and Roy and I in future DVDs are going to show you how to make terpenes from citrus waste and wood waste and everything else. And let's say you get your terpenes at an equivalent of 30 cents a gallon of gas of energy. Well, you're going to need to add this 22 cents of hydrogen equivalent that you got off of your photovoltaic electrolysis, etc., etc. So it's going to be like driving around on 52 cents a gallon of gas equivalent. Aren't you feeling better now? Gee, and what does the future hold? You know, this future of, $100 barrel of oil and everything else, just forget it, okay? I mean, energy gets cheaper every year. Goes up it'll fluctuate decade by decade, but on an inflationary basis, energy gets cheaper every day. So let's go back to where we were doing, okay, we did $5.91 a gallon of gas equivalent of hydrogen off of electrolysis from home at 10 cents a kilowatt hour. Now let's say we do some inflationary fun in future energy, and you're getting your hydrogen at the equivalent of 1 cent a kilowatt hour, which is 1/10 of 10. So it's like you're getting hydrogen at 59 cents a gallon of gas equivalent. So you can take your 59 cent gallon of gas equivalent and you can add it to your terpenes at 30 cents a gallon of gas equivalent, or you can add it to your natural gas at 75 cents a gallon of gas equivalent. And you can see that you are going to be driving around cheap. So I gave you the gloom and doom reality of what is today. And I just told you about the sunny future, about what we have tomorrow. You are where you are today because of the decisions you made yesterday. You will be where you are tomorrow, because of the decisions that you made today. But that is some of the economics and science behind the current numbers and mathematics of things being done today in year 2005. Just so you don't foolishly go out and squander your money on underhood electrolyzers, false hope, fear, or go out and try to buy a bunch of solar panels to think you're going to be driving around cheap, or doing electrolysis from home thinking you're going to be doing it cheap, because you're not. What Roy and I are showing you with multi-fuel engines, hydrogen boosting, running on hydrogen, running on natural gas, combination thereof, gasoline and hydrogen, cheap diesel fuel, old diesel fuel, bad diesel fuel, alcohol with water and hydrogen. This is how you get driving around cheap. And trust me, okay? What does the future hold on an inflationary basis? Remember, inflation, price adjusted. Your parents went to the movie on 10 cents and got popcorn. We're going to the movies today on $8. Well, you look at inflationary numbers and everything. What does the future hold for our children, our grandchildren, and great-grandchildren? They are going to be driving around on inflationary-based numbers, just like we were paying $1 today for a gallon of gas, and just like we would be paying 1 cent today for a kilowatt hour of energy. This is where the future is going. You can't stop it. It will happen. Idiots in politics will make your energy price going down. They'll make them jump up like this for a decade or parts of a decade or a year, because they do stupid politics and make bad decisions, etc., etc. But your energy price will be going down. And it's the science and the mathematics, the chemistry and the physics that we're talking about here today, that you took in college and high school, that your children should be taking in high school and college. It's that science and mathematics, and not any politician or any political idiot or anyone doing advocacy of anything. that's going to make this happen, okay? Science, mathematics, intelligence, the best science in the world, and absolute world-class manufacturing, making things cheaper every day. This is what will happen. And remember, you heard it here first.